You're listening to Midwest Coven Cast.
I'm Susie.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Marilyn. We are three modern pagans making our way through this world.
We hope you will join us every 2 weeks
For conversations about,
Well,
just about everything. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Order!
the lighting of the candle has commenced. We think it might literally be the last episode that this candle will last.
So it made 2 whole seasons longer than we each person did that it would.
Girl, you start recording and don't tell people you're starting recording. You said you were going to, but I'm all of a sudden we started. I was
I thought you were paying attention. I don't know. Sam knew
maybe it's because it was hidden behind my thing that I didn't hear you or see you actually hit play. But I was waiting for it to start, and all of a sudden you guys started. I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess we're starting.
I feel like this happens often.
I feel like it does too.
I feel like what we need to do is just say, hey, we're about to hit record.
Didn't we?
I said, okay, we're ready. And then I hit the button, and you weren't paying attention, apparently.
Okay, maybe that was me just not paying attention, apparently.
It's hard to believe that we've actually made it this far already. Season 3 finale. I remember when we first started, and I was like, how long is this going to last? Are we actually going to do more than a couple episodes?
Are we done now?
Is that anything ever going to actually come out? And then it did, and then
now we're
happened,
a business.
and now we're expanding things. It's been
Yeah, we're gonna sell you guys stuff eventually once
crazy, right?
Our order is in order.
Yeah, we said several episodes ago we're working on our Etsy shop and our Redbubble, and we have to do business things because apparently there are laws and things. And,
paperwork is hard, and we fucked it up.
Yeah,
there was a hold up, unfortunately, but we've gotten we're getting past that hold up now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Soon.
We're
sailing ahead, hopefully.
It's still coming.
To be in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. But for the sake of consistency, which is something we are very rarely are, something we very, yep.
We very rarely. Oh, God.
We are very rarely consistent, but something that we have been pretty consistent on is our season finale is always some form of Q&A. And so we do have some questions from some listeners, and we're going to answer those, and then we're going to reflect on the season and share some of our favorite moments. And
one of my favorite things is not having to make our own content, and when you guys send us questions, it's a little present for us, because then we don't have to make our content. You guys just give it to us.
You tell us what it's going to be.
Super fun.
You get to rule over us for an episode. It's great. So we may as well go ahead and start with the first question.
Yeah.
So the first question is, always like your music episodes from past. So far, no music recs this season. What are you three listening to these days?
So we kind of did do a music episode this season, but it was only
top secret,
exclusively available on our Patreon.
Well, it's not even on our Patreon.
We haven't released it yet. It's still.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason
it's still in our back pocket, and you guys will have to just keep your ears out for it.
It's gonna be coming out sometime soon, like post-season.
Yes.
Earlier if you're on Patreon.
Well,
I
was pretty sure that you guys said that we were going to put it out on Patreon first, and then after the season.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's not available on anything as of
not as
today.
Of airing, but it will be very soon.
Yeah. We saved a little treat for you guys.
Yeah.
But in the we can still answer this a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was another Name That Tune with special guests. So that one it does have our musical taste, but not specifically what we're listening to these days. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of always listening to my main Bumpin' Uglies and Tropidelic, and I listen to a lot of Train and Pat Monahan too lately.
I like Train.
Now that I'm back in school, I have my whole 30-minute drive to class and to and from every Monday and Wednesday, so I get more music time in my day, which has been nice to I've been listening to my old playlists, which, like I said, have Train and, Better Than Ezra and a lot of Jewel. I like belting out Jewel when I'm alone in the car. And,
kind of like Alanis Morissette.
Yep.
I'll never forget the day.
But bitch is a little overplayed. I've heard a little bit of too much of bitch in my life.
Isn't that like Meredith?
Oh, yeah, I get the two confused all the time.
That's okay.
But no,
I do
remember
too.
there was
Sometimes
a
there's
day
some
It's
more.
their hair.
you came and picked me up when I was a little kid, and I remember we got in the car, and Steve was like, okay, now the only condition is that you have to sing Alanis Morissette at the top of your lungs while I have all the windows down. I was like, okay. And then, yeah, we were literally just blaring it the whole way. It was hilarious. But,
So for me, I mean, you know, I always am listening to like a lot of Sarah Bareilles and like whatever, which is pretty typical for me. But and I also like Millie Tizard. I've talked about her on here before. She has a couple songs that came out relatively recently with there's like someone else she sings with her. It's like Sally something or other. I wish I could remember her name off the top of my head. It's Sally something, but I can't remember anyways. There's a name that I can't remember clearly. And then I'm trying to think of what else have I been listening to? Oh my gosh. I've been listening to a lot. So I've been spending like a lot of time recently on my dissertation, and so I've actually been listening to like a lot of like Hans Zimmer like music scores, like
what kind of music does he?
movie scores and stuff, like the orchestral.
Oh gosh, I was movie
scores.
What is
Yeah.
it? Okay, got it.
Soundtrack.
Yeah,
Yes,
soundtracks.
yes.
Or sometimes like classical music. I tend to go towards like Franz Liszt, which, you know, I don't know, that's going to be like super interesting for anyone who's listening. But it helps me to sort of concentrate, and, you know, it's hard for me to concentrate on like reading and writing when there's lyrics.
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
Yeah, because I like to sing along if I know
Yeah.
them.
And then those are the words that you're thinking about instead of the ones you're reading. And
Right,
it's all intertwined
breeds
and
disaster, you know. So yeah, but other than that,
in fourth grade, Miss Beaumont did the whole classical during study thing. I remember you telling me that you remembered that, like when I was.
I remember you listening to classical music like when you were in elementary school. I always thought it was because you were in dance.
Oh, yeah, nope, that was totally Mrs. Beaumont. She taught the kids that that's the best way to study and you can concentrate the best, and so I'm like, ooh.
Well, that's what a lot of the, like, early learning, homeschooling stuff has been introducing, like, that type of music and
the piano,
more orchestral
Corrado
type pieces.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I remember, Suze, when you were little, we went to, like, Sam Goody, and you bought, like, a big box set of classical. I think it's still
Mozart.
around somewhere.
Mozart or Beethoven, one of the two. It was one of
Yeah.
the ones we were learning about in school.
Yeah. But it was just, I think the people at Sam Goody thought it was funny because it was like this little kid coming
Out of
in.
character.
And like, here, I'm going to spend my $27 that I have of my, like, from my whole life savings on this box set of
Beethoven.
Of Beethoven, yeah.
Like, what a weirdo.
I mean, it's cute, but I think
She
they were
has class.
surprised.
Okay.
I like to think I did. I don't know if it
Oh, man.
transpired into anything.
But other than that, I know that some of you know me for my music, and so that's something that I've kind of been working on. And been listening to is my own music. I keep saying to the TikTok followers that we have that I'm working on music. I swear someday it'll come out. Well, today one is going to come out. So if you go to music sites for Marilyn Marin, you'll hear a new witchy song there. So it's going to be called Ritual. So
I heard it
check
and
that
I
out.
liked it. I thought it was very on point.
Maybe editing Marilyn will like throw some in the background here so you can listen to a few seconds of it while we wax poetic about
Yes.
about our music taste.
Yeah.
How about you, Suze? What have you been
To
listening
be honest with you, I'm so old school. I feel kind of like I don't really listen to anything that, anybody would be interested in. The only things that I like, when I'm in the car, I have my fucking radio on 96.7 The Eagle, all classic rock, which is basically what me and Corey used to just always listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I ever change it, it's to like 97 ZOK, and it's like all the, pop,
Today's music.
Today's music. And you know what? So another thing that I've been listening to is sometimes on our car rides, in Nick's car, we'll listen to like white boy rap. Like, there's some rappers out there that are actually pretty good, that are white, that are not Eminem, that I never heard of or known about. And yeah, I mean, they actually do have some pretty good songs out there. one of his favorite ones that he introduced me to was called Mike something or other, but on there it's like Mike period. That's all it is. But anyways, he had a couple good songs on there. But other than that, I also on our trips will sometimes listen to old school rap and like what they call pussy poppin' music. Which is all like the whatchamacallit.
Back when twerking was popular?
It's all twerky music. Yeah, it's like Nicki Minaj and oh god, what is that?
I played some Cardi B the other day.
Yeah, Cardi B. Like, and to be honest with you, some of the songs do make you just kind of want to go ooh 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 ooh.
Oh yeah, I had to roll my windows down and turn it up a little extra, so like, you know, the weird kids in the college town would be like, yeah, that old lady, she's listening to Nicki Minaj.
She's so cool. Look at her.
Look at that white girl.
Look at her twerking in the car. Look at her car bouncing.
Bumping.
But no, other than that, that's pretty much it. I stick to my regular old rock and roll and classic
Actually,
rock.
I do know what I've been listening to a lot lately. Fucking Blippi. Excavator.
So I was gonna say, in our house, it's been Bert and Ernie, Wheels on the Bus.
Oh my god, Wheels
okay.
on the Bus.
Wheels on the bus go round and round.
I kid you not, I sing that to Kelly to go to sleep every night. She likes, I used to keep it to just the babies go, wah, 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 the mamas go, shh, shh, and the daddies go, I love you. And now she adds, the driver on the bus says, move on back. She likes that one in there too, which is the weirdest one to me. Like, when does the driver say move on back to you when you get on the bus? Like,
all the time.
Get on back there. Get to the back of the bus.
Oh no.
Like,
Well, if it's a busy bus, they usually try and fill
I
from the
wonder
back.
when that song was written.
If it was like a segregation type.
oh god.
I've never even thought about it. I mean, it might not have anything to do with it, but...
Yeah, honestly, that's one thing that I like the kids' songs because they're more her taste, her style, she likes them and whatever. But there is a point that it's just, like, too repetitive, too annoying, too, like,
I mean, some of them are
brainwashy
really
feeling.
fun. I really like the Wiggles, like, Shake Your Sillies Out. Especially, like, for Dylan, even, when he's getting too hyper and, like, he needs to be silly. Like, we sometimes just play that song and we, like, fully fucking shake everything out. And
I've heard that's actually really, really good for your nervous system to do that. Like, to, like, shake your body violently around if you need to.
Violently.
Or to, like,
make some noises. I mean, I really think people should be more primal than they are.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I watch
fucking society. Everyone knows how much I don't despise the society, so...
I want to shout like a banshee and run around like a monkey. And
I want to birth my children in the middle of the street naked and not have you sexualize me while I do it.
I was thinking about there are these people on like TikTok that I think are really interesting sometimes that I'll watch, and they do like just like intuitive movement like stuff, or they just like move in front of their camera.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, oh, that looks like really. Like, it would feel good to roll my shoulders like that, or, like, whatever, you know?
I feel like when you feel that need, that you need to do it. Like,
so I kind of call it intentional stimming. Like, giving your, like, stimming is something that, like, people that are on the spectrum or, like, neurodivergent typically do anyways, but, like, setting time to, like, intentionally be like, okay, well, I'm gonna, like...
I'm gonna wing
it
out.
I do it a lot when we record because it's, like, nervous habits. Like, that's why I sit here and talk with my arms so much and, like, move around because, like, sitting still feels really uncomfortable when you have lots of nervous problems.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
you don't always
thing,
see it, but like sometimes I do it kind of like down below, or I'll like shift my legs a little bit, like weirdly, like it like stims my.
I have to
thighs
have some rhythm, or like,
or like You might notice when we're sitting here, and I do roll sometimes. Like
I have seen you do it a couple times. I'll sit on my legs and then take my legs down, sit back on them, and then take them back down. And then like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Now I gotta sit.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway,
let's go ahead.
We're talking about music, and now we're talking about like intuitive movements. Anyway,
we can stand if we want to.
There ain't no friends of mine.
So yeah, should we close? Did we say who that question's from? Did they want to talk about?
It was that question was from Jenny. Thank you, Jenny, for submitting a question.
Jeannie or Jenny?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's Jenny. JENNIE.
I was gonna say the way that it looks like Jenny.
I think Jenny, but you're right. You never know.
Could be Jeannie.
It could be Jeannie. You know,
if it is Jeannie,
we apologize.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Whoever you are.
Yeah.
We listen to music all the time.
All right. So next question is, what part do dreams play in your beliefs? That was from Anonymous. That one wasn't they did not want themselves to be known. That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Well, I can try.
Okay, go for it.
I can try. Like I'm not like under pressure or something. It depends for me. Like I feel like dreams can sometimes open us up to like things that we're feeling outside. Like when we're anxious, like I tend to have dreams about like okay, so like my stress dream is usually that for some reason that I have this stress dream kind of a lot. So my stress dream is usually that I'm about to get my PhD, but somehow back in like junior high or high school, there's some math class that I failed and I still technically haven't passed high school or whatever. So I need to take this class before they'll give me my PhD now. And then that's like the, there's some iteration of that dream and it plays out sort of like in different
How do you feel about math in general? Is math in general something that you don't approve? Like,
well, I have an interesting relationship with math. So I downgrade I downgrade my relationship with math and I'm like, oh, I'm so bad at it, blah, 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 blah. But really, I'm probably better at it than most people, or like, not most people. That's a strong over-exaggeration. I'm probably better at it than
what you think you are.
Than what I think I am. Yeah, that's probably a better way of putting it. But, so when I was in like middle school, and this is probably where middle school / high school comes into this whole equation, this stress dream. But in the first part of 7th grade, I was in a regular math class, like with like just like the everyday students. Like it was kind of like what most of the students were taking, and I excelled in the class. I was like the best person in the class. Like I was like helping people and whatever. So the next semester, they put me into algebra, but I missed all the like conceptual stuff because I wasn't in it the first semester, which like
it's a base that you have to start with to progress into the second semester.
And then I struggled the rest of the time. Like if
they would have like the star student to like the dummy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, the sad part about this is like, so in 6th grade,
did you end up passing that class though?
Well, I passed classes, but I was always like the stupidest one in the class. Like, like one of those situations.
Did you have nightmares about this then? Or dreams? Or is this like a newer dream?
I don't really remember having dreams like specifically like this, like with that, like, you're not going to get your PhD without it or whatever, but like.
Anyway, I've never had any dreams about not completing the math class though. Not necessarily in
not
consideration
really.
of your PhD, but.
No.
Okay.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm better at it than I think I am. But because I was like always in the honors classes and like like whatever, but I was always the one struggling in the honors classes. So I feel like if I would have just stayed where I was at, it would have been better for me. But I think like a lot of like the reason that this happened is like in 6th grade, I struggled just in school in general because it was the year after Grandma Dorothy died, and I was very, very close to her. And so my whole 6th grade year, my academics they weren't like horrible, but I just was like not on my game as much as I was. And so when I went into junior high in 7th grade, the math especially was, not as good in 6th grade. Like, I mean, I was like a C student or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't like bad. It was just not as much.
You were used to being an A student, B student maybe, and you kind of got to average and you were like, oh and then,
but then I was starting to feel a little more myself again in 7th grade, right? Because it was kind of like the depression had passed and things like that. So I was doing better, but the damage had already been done and putting me back to not putting me back, I should say, like, but putting me in like just sort of the mainline, and then switching to the higher version was rough when I had missed out on all those sort of like structural components.
But you're basically getting at the fact that because of the stress dream that you have a feeling that dreams are basically like a way of your subconscious kind of allowing yourself to express the stress in a way without it being like.
So would you maybe, because I know you believe in like doing shadow work and a lot of that, would you like interpret your dreams as like spaces that you need to work on?
Work on, maybe, be aware of, probably, you know what I mean? Like, probably some combination of those things. Like, I think they can let us into, like, things that we're, you know, like I said, feeling sort of subconsciously.
What's funny that you say that is that's kind of what I wrote down for mine, too. I was like, because, like, personally, I don't really, like, I don't specifically, like, use my dreams. Like, I used to journal. Like, I used to dream journal when I would wake up, and I would write them down. I would try to, like... So I heard a long, long time ago, because I had this book that said the meaning of your dreams, and it was like a dictionary, and you would go to this, and if you dreamt of this, then it means that. If you go to this, it, you know, whatever. Yeah. But I just could never, ever think that that was truthful.
Never felt right.
It never felt right to me.
That's how I feel about zodiacs and horoscopes, and, like,
it's just
that's
kind of
my
like
connection.
general.
I know a lot of people have a deep connection with it, but for me, I'm just like... I'm going to
general.
make my own path. Like, thanks. Thanks.
But the thing that's funny to me is the fact that, like, so I, when I, oh God, hold on, what was I saying?
About dreams maybe being, like, insightful.
Yeah, but, never mind. I'll think of it. Sorry.
That's okay.
Not bad.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was talking about that one dream that we had, the before the float tank. The Tide Pod.
Yes.
But
a stress dream, another stress dream.
Yeah, another stress dream. Probably about that event though, because you know, like whatever. But I don't know. I think I told you in that dream. You asked me if I dream journal, and I was like, no. But I actually do write down my dreams sometimes. I just don't do it regularly. I actually have like a journal like on my computer of like some things that I've dreamed over the last couple of years. So I don't know why I told you like no.
So sometimes you'll go.
But like I guess I was like. I kind of took it as, do you do it regularly? And I'm like, no, I don't. Because I don't do it regularly.
But you sometimes will write them down.
Sometimes, yeah.
See, I don't remember mine enough to do it regularly like that. But I do remember what I was going to say, though. That reminded me. So, what I remember reading about was, or not reading about, but somebody was like basically saying that, yeah, you know, those things are all a matter of interpretation, this and that. But what you ought to do is dream journal for yourself, write down your dream, and then write down how the dream made you feel and, like, kind of what you thought about what it could mean, maybe. Yeah. And then as you create your own library of, like, you'll see patterns, and then you can kind of relate the fact that, hey, whenever I see this in my dream, I tend to be feeling this way in real life, or I tend to think that it's about this. Yeah. And then you can kind of see consistencies and make your own dream journal. So that's why I was like, man, I really would love to dream journal, because then I might be able to kind of feel or see more insights from my dreams to be able to know what the hell my subconscious is trying to tell me.
Yeah, and I feel like those dreams that I write down, I tend to remember a little bit better too, just in general, because you actually reflect on them in your waking hours to remember like certain like things you saw or how things felt or like whatever, you know.
It's almost like unless you tell someone out loud or write it down or type it or whatever, you kind of it becomes a dream that you had, and it doesn't really mean much because you don't remember it. But yeah
I don't remember my dreams like pretty much ever anymore. I think I used to more, but then I had PTSD, which then I had night terrors for a really long time, and then I was on medication to stop the night terrors, and I'm not on medication anymore, but I still don't really have like
memorable dreams.
Yeah, like memories of... Yeah. Every once in a while I do, and actually that kind of sparks a memory. Every once in a while I do have dreams, and most of the time that I have dreams, it's usually of like Trevor cheating or on me or something. Like it's usually those dreams. So how they play into my beliefs, I would say, I don't know. Like I do believe that they do like maybe play into your subconscious, like, which I don't know, because I've never really considered that he would be cheating on me, so that's also, like, just a weird thing my brain, I don't know, but, like, yeah, I feel like they can play into your conscious, but they could also maybe, like, play into, like, the anxieties and fears that you have, and especially prey on those, you know, like, especially, I had night terrors, and obviously that was, like, an exaggeration of my fears reoccurring and, like, spiraling into more fears, and then, like, the fears growing bigger, and so I don't know. It definitely can play, like, alter your beliefs and play into, like, what you actually believe to be real, because especially if having, like, a mental disorder, like, you sometimes don't know where the line is, like, what is actually real and what's your dream or your nightmare, like,
does that happen in a dream, or did I actually experience that?
Well, I told you about that one dream that I had, that I was convinced I was awake. I think I talked about it on the podcast before.
Dude, I remember when I was a kid, I had a dream like that once, and two things rolling through my mind is, it's funny that you said that you had that kind of a dream, because literally just last night I had a dream about Nick like that. So I was like, and I told him this when I woke up in the morning, I was like, I had a bad dream about you and I last night. I was like, you brought me to some big family get-together, and then you had to run and go, like, get something from the gas station or something, but you, like, left me there, and I went to go look for you where you went, and they're like, oh, yeah, he had to run up to the gas station. I'm just like, well, I don't know anyone here. Like, why are you leaving me all alone here? So I, like, ran to go try to find him before he left, and he, like, straight up was right by me. I was like, hey, and then he just takes off, goes, doesn't even notice that I was gone. So I got all sad. I went back into the house. I was like, I'm gonna go take a nap then. So I go into this room, and you know, like, when you prepare for a party, you just gotta shove a bunch of shit into a room.
The room was just full of stuff?
The room was full of stuff, so I was, like, maneuvering my way in and around a bunch of junk to try to find a comfortable place to lay down and take a nap, and then, he got back, and I, like, started yelling at him in front of his family, like, making a terrible impression, and it was a terrible dream.
But he left to go see another girl?
No, he just went to go to the gas station to go get whatever he had to get for the party and came back, but I was just, like, pissed that he left me there all alone.
It was for a really long time.
Like, why didn't you bring me with?
Right.
But no, when I was a kid, I had a really realistic dream like that, too, where we were at a carnival, and I had a balloon tied around my wrist, and I was, like, playing with it, and it, like, goes up into the air, and I'm getting so sad, and I'm, like, crying to Dad about it, because it was, like, Dad took us to this carnival with, like, I don't know if it was with one of his girlfriends or it was just him or whatever, but, like, in my head, in my mind, I remember everyone taking out all these ladders to get my balloon back for me. They started putting up all these ladders, we're gonna reach it, we're gonna get it, it'll be fine. And no, like, that doesn't happen. But in my mind, I remembered it so real when I was a kid. Like, I thought it really happened. It was so weird. But anyways, sorry, tangent.
Yeah, like, last time Trevor cheated on me, it was with, like, some girl at the gym, which now he goes to the gym, and I'm always like, oh, go see your other girlfriend. Like,
Nick has a second family. That he doesn't see us at night when we're asleep.
Oh my gosh.
It does suck the way that our minds can play on us, though, especially, like, on our fears and anxieties, like you said. And then, it almost makes me wonder if our dreams, that was another thing that I wonder if it's our mind trying to, like, you know how when you don't want something to happen, if you, like, experience it, it kind of, like, takes the shock of it happening to you away a little bit. Like, maybe it's just our dreams are our subconscious trying to experience the things that we don't want to experience, so that way it takes our fear away from experiencing. Because, like, okay, well, if that does happen, then I know how I'll react, because I kind of already experienced
No, I reacted in fear. I was traumatized. That was my reaction.
I'm pretty sure that I've had, like, sleep paralysis before or something, because
that'd be scary.
Well, so there have been a couple of times in my life where I've had dreams where, like, things have happened, like not to be, like, morbid, and I'm almost afraid to say this, like, on radio, but like an explosion happens, like, and I'm nearby, and I'll experience, like, sort of some heat. Like, I don't, like, feel burned. I never feel burned, but, like, I'll see, like, heat, like, and, like, the big white, like, just come and encompass me, and then everything will just go black. And there's, like, this, like, distinct amount of time, like, where I'm conscious, like, I know something has happened, but I can't move. I don't see anything. Everything's black, but I'm conscious. Like, it's very weird, and it's very scary.
Like, you're trying to wake up, and you can't wake up.
Like, you need to wake up, and I can't.
Have you guys ever heard of the theories of our dreams are just us as ourselves in other dimensions experiencing things? I forget what the thing is, but, like, it's like, it was just you dying in another dimension, and you just felt it.
I wanted, like, another dream that I vividly remember, that experience kind of happened to me. Mm-hmm. It was, I don't know how old I was, but I was at my Aunt Kathy's house, and we like, after my grandma moved when I was in 3rd grade, my grandma Mary, like, my dad kind of didn't really talk to the family that much anymore. So, like, we kind of, and then my parents divorced, and then we didn't talk to family anymore. And, like, so I had to be young, like, maybe 4th grade when this happened. But I was staying the night over there, and I had a dream that my dad was getting eaten by crocodiles. Oh, and I was, like, watching him, like, we were, like, at some safari park or something.
Like, no! God.
And I tried to wake up screaming. And, like, I sat up, and I couldn't scream. Like, nothing came out. Like, I wasn't screaming, but I was trying to be screaming, and, like... I was like kind of awake at that point, but still not like able to do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like the weirdest feeling, and it's very discomforting. It's like
I'm in control of my body, and I'm not like, right now.
And I wasn't home, so like I couldn't get back to sleep because I didn't know if my dad was okay or if he was like somewhere getting fucking eaten by crocodiles. And, yeah.
Damn.
So, speaking of like my dreams or whatever, I just pulled this up because I remember like having just like scary dreams or whatever. I remember this one I had about a year ago, and it was actually on my birthday last year. Well, I wrote about it on my birthday, so it was probably like technically the night before, I'm guessing. That's usually how I date these. But I said I dreamt of returning to the office. I was probably having like stress dreams kind of about like having to go back after the pandemic and everything. Like the desks were different. Everything just looked different.
Yeah.
And like there were like people there that had already graduated. It was just sort of like weird. But anyway, at some point I'm going to read directly from what I wrote. It said at some point I was showing little Nugget, so my niece, around campus, and we ended up at some resale shop, presumably not actually on campus. We went to an upstairs portion of the shop. We're exploring games and toys and such. Nugget got close to the stair drop off. It was incredibly steep, which was not protected by a wall, but by sparse wood planks. I told her to get away from the drop off, but she instead went through. I tried to catch her, but only got there in time to see her like descend and hit the stairs deep down. I thought in the moment that there was no way she could have lived from such a long fall. Fortunately, she got up and was barely scathed. Emotionally, though, I was very much scathed.
I was like, oh my God. I'm sitting over here like holding my face like, oh my God. You know what's really rolling through my mind?
Yeah.
Is your damn staircase.
I know. I worry about that all the time. That's exactly what that dream was about. It was stress.
Those
Isn't
boards
that
are
over at the
enough.
other house too? Isn't both of them the staircases like that? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. But
she doesn't jump on that chair like she does on the couch over here. She's always trying to jump on this.
She tries to jump on my couch all the time.
And we
like,
got the boards there, but those things are so flimsy that she would fall right the hell through those things.
I've been thinking about I have that plaster board out in the garage. Which would be, it's like
I'm just
hard.
trying to get her to stay down from the couch in general is my whole thing. Because I feel like, I mean, granted,
she's getting better about it. She's getting a lot better about it.
She's on that wall, too.
Yeah.
She seems good. It's always when she gets over to this side, she's always trying to be all like...
But I know that this is exactly what that dream was about, is that place makes me nervous over in that corner. Yeah. But
she'll get her a Nugget, and then she'll have her own couch to climb on.
Right.
Oh, there we go. Hey.
Well, she does have her own
Nugget.
chair here, which helps. And now that I'm sitting at my desk, she doesn't mind sitting at like her little table more.
And pretending to work and like
because I'll like try and do like some homework or read, and then she'll like
monkey
color and stuff there. So yeah, she liked it before, but she's even more prone, I think, to go there because she sees me like right across from her. So
yeah,
so that's been like helping with that. But anyways, morbid dreams.
So any more about dreams before we move on to the next question?
Oh, I'm just gonna share. So this is literally the last sentence of that. I just looked down at it and I'm like, I'm gonna share because it's kind of funny. The only other thing that I remember was getting ready a PowerPoint about horror movies. That's the last line. That's all I wrote. Okay.
In the dream, you were getting this PowerPoint.
Yes, this was like it was like something that I was doing for a class or something. I don't know.
It's funny that you do that though, because I do the same thing when I'm doing my dreams. I'll be like, the main parts that I remember, and then if I remember
just
anything
like
else, I'm like, oh yeah, and I also remember like this other stupid thing that happened.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so next question is from Vivian Nightshade, and it is, I've been seeing a lot of anti-witch stuff on social media lately, usually from hardcore Christians and pastors and stuff. It's been making me nervous because witches are always historically been used as a scapegoat in times of social unrest. Word. You've mentioned this on some of your podcasts, like in our Waffle House Witches, which is available eventually on our Redbubble. How are you guys feeling about this? Any advice to calm our nerves and help protect ourselves? This is a really in-depth and interesting question. Well, so first of all, we've also noticed, especially this season, ourselves on social media, that we haven't been getting much coverage or like share, like viewability, like pushed
like
from, like the algorithm is lowering our exposure on social media, which I think is from some of this backlash and from some of this like social unrest that witches again are like in I don't want to say in trend, but that is kind of what's happening, is that it started to become like a trendy thing, and then the actual practice of it, people are confused still about what the actual practice is, and then they are therefore put into fear, and all these things come into play.
Well, I don't know. I'm like of several minds about this, because on the one hand, like, yes, I agree that witches have like historically been sort of created social martyr. That's probably not a great way of putting it, but like, you know, they've been sort of ostracized. But in a lot of those instances too, they were people that literally weren't witches either. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not sure it's always really about the witches specifically. Like, I know like on the surface it is, but it's really about not conforming to a certain social ideology that's popular at the time among certain people that are, you know, using their force to try and inflict their own personal thoughts about the world on others and trying to force them to live by those.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know.
Well, I think that's what they're referring to as the scapegoats, though. Like, we're not necessarily the bad people, but people are saying that we are because they don't want to take accountability for the other things that are happening in our world at the moment.
Yeah. And they view themselves as right and us as wrong, and, you know, so we get demonized as a result. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I don't know. I think clearly I am just like public about it, but I'm trying to be sort of brave in the face of it so that, you know, other people can start to feel comfortable too. Like, you're not alone. There are a lot of us that identify as pagan or some form of like naturalistic or more nature-based,
non-Christian based.
Yeah, I think we've actually just, the three of us, that when we started this, we were all pretty nervous about it, and also not all in agreement on what we thought paganism was at the beginning. So,
I mean, well, paganism is so many different things.
So.
I think that personally, I was under like the media impression of paganism in the very beginning, thinking it was sort of like a demonistic, like rich, like some, you know, something negative. But now that I've really learned more about it, it's more or less just about nature and trying to align yourself with the natural cycles of nature, trying to like
appreciate the earth,
appreciate each other, appreciate the gifts that everyone has. Like, I feel like that's something that I wish other religions and culture, like, I wish that they would take more of that from their own beliefs and practice that part of it, because I think that there's a lot of Christians that will claim that, but then there's a lot of people that don't practice in their belief system and the way they treat other people. Like, you know, if God loves everyone, then he should love us pagans as well, is the way I would look at it.
I also want to draw attention that there are also a lot of Christian witches. Witches
true.
aren't exclusive to other religious beliefs, because I don't know. Witchcraft is a craft and a practice, whereas your religion can be separate from that.
And it's often highly personalized or regionalized depending on like where you're from, and you know what's, you know, like what plants are native to where you are, and you know like what cultural practices are happening around you
what household when these things were brought up created, in, how you were taught, and
there are so many different ways to be pagan, because it's not really a larger scale practice in and of itself, right? There's no like the, you know, the Christians have like a Bible and like things like that. We don't really have like
Well, I
a
think
lot of
when
specific texts that we look at in that kind of regard. I mean, we have books that we reference and things, but it's not really that way.
Yeah.
When we looked up, like, the historical definition of paganism, it was more or less, like, an umbrella term used to define anything that's not mainstream worldly religions. So
yeah,
basic, and it like it's specified like and close with nature and like as a something I forget. I had another word in my head that like it specified in, but like most of it's intuition to like what you're trying to seek the answers for the universe like within yourself. Like it's going to be different for everybody than like an umbrella, like these are the answers and this is the way we have to find them, and like all that structure that a more worldly religion would bring.
Well, what's funny to me is that I have come to find that since like kind of switching over to a more paganistic belief system within myself, I feel like it's more freeing to be an individual and to kind of like own who you are and to find out who that truly is. I feel like if you're under strict religious belief systems that are telling you how to be and who to be and what you can and can't do and this and that, which, I mean, granted, there's some really good like morals that come from religion. I'm not saying that at all, like, you know, there's no goodness from them, but I do fear that it also tends to make people feel that they have to live up to this certain way of being that may or may not align with their true self, and then they kind of get confused and they all, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and really, I think a lot of religion, too, it's like, there's always going to be a double-sided coin, right? As much as there is good in paganism, there probably are people who do, like, things that aren't great in paganism, but, you know what? There have been, like, a lot of wars fought in the name of, you know, some of the more, more populous religions of the world, the more, you know, the bigger world religions have been fought, you know, like, so, you know,
like you said, there's good and there's bad.
There's good and bad that rolls into all
religion,
I think.
So
to a degree.
Yeah, well, like I remember when we live in a really Christian-centric society here in the Midwest anyways, and I know a lot of the South is very Christian-centric, and so it's just kind of like in our face all the time. I know when I was trying to live up to those, like my self-esteem was really low, and like I don't know, it's just like to try and fit into an expectation of society that you don't fit into is always kind of like a weird thing.
So like I've been witchy since I was like in middle-ish school / early high school, you know. And there was one time in my 20s that I started going to a church. It was a Christian church. And I was just sort of questioning things at the time. This was like shortly after the shooting happened at the university. And like, so like I was just like questioning life and things. And it was like kind of one of those big churches that had like the modern, you know, emo pop Christian bands, you know, like whatever. And like, you know, like big theatrical, big, you know, nice modern building, like, and I remember you would go in there and like, they charged for coffee. Like it was like $1 a cup or something like that, which I didn't mind it. Churches, like when I first started.
Churches typically like nonprofit and they get a whole bunch of donations and they like don't they have like free luncheons all the time for like a ton of, like remember grandma?
They charge for some of them. They charge for some of them.
Okay.
But
curious,
like the service coffee or whatever, it just kind of seemed. So here's the thing, like I actually didn't mind that they did this like at all when I first started going. I'd pay my $1, like I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm helping the church, whatever. But then like it felt like almost every time I went, they put so much emphasis on donation, give us your money. It just felt like that's really what they wanted out of you there. Like, I mean, yeah, they would preach to you and they had the music and things like that, but like they had so much emphasis on that it kind of turned me off. And what really got to me is like, so I did like collection one day. Like I think I had gone like 4 or 5 times more, but I was going with some other people that I knew that went there. So they had volunteered to do like the collection plates or whatever. And they asked me if I wanted to join. And this was going to be like my, you know, 4th or 5th time probably attending. This was the last time I ever attended. So that morning I went to go get coffee and I hadn't put the $1 in yet. And some like old man like comes up to me and he's like, you got to pay for that. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm still like putting my sugar in. I haven't forgotten, you know. And then, like, I watch him later, and he comes up and gets some. He was, like, one of the pastors or something like that. And I'm like, okay, like, you know.
And he didn't
like,
give his dollar?
No. And, I saw, like, some other old men, like, go up there and, like, not pay. But then, like, other people would pay. And it would seem like they would go, like, up to, like, younger women or, like, whatever and be like, you gotta pay for that. Yeah, I know. Like, I haven't walked away. I'm still making my coffee. Like, but it just like turned me off. But then after that, but this is the day that I'm gonna do the
collection
or whatever. The amount of money this church was fucking taking in. Wow. Like, wow.
Was that just on your plate alone, or did you see between all of the plates?
Well, I mean, just between all of them, but, like, I mean...
Okay, I was just...
Wow, like, really? I mean, like, there are some people that are, like, writing checks for, like, $200, like $500. Some people are throwing in, like, 50s and $100 bills, 5s, 10s, like, and there are, like, hundreds of people here. And I'm like, you came up to me and was like, you need to pay $1 for this fucking coffee. Okay, asshole. Like I was gonna give the dollar, but you didn't have to be a jerk.
The collection plate. You didn't earn a coffee for that,
right?
You're working.
Well, so I was, after my sexual assault, I got rebaptized into a Christian church and like tried to rescue myself from my PTSD through Christianity, because that works. It does not work, so don't. Yeah. But like, so I did that, and then they had the same thing. Like, I started going to one of their recovery programs, and like they charged for the dinner at the recovery program. So like, the people that are trying to make their lives better and going to like this, there was a 12-step program in addition to it, but it wasn't like the actual 12-step program. It was more of just a group for it. But yeah, so like the people that are, you know, in recovery for either trauma or addiction or assault or like all these other things, you're preying on them, trying to make their lives better by charging them to eat their meal.
Like, seriously, that's literally what I was going to say about the church. Like, I sometimes worry that people, when they're lost in life, have to go and try to find something, and I feel that religion does offer some people a good outlet to like find a good
and like
like I loved the program. Like, the program was great, but like,
I think they take advantage of people.
I was a single mom at the time. I couldn't I mean, I could and I couldn't, but like it was just kind of like to go to church and then have to be like, oh well, here you also
Well, and I want to be very clear. I know some really amazing Christian people that like they go to smaller churches, and those churches are doing stuff
the mega
like
churches
in the communities all the time. Like, their buildings they're pretty lackluster though, like, but you can tell that they spend their money in the community. It's not like I'm going to buy new like $10,000 speakers and like, you know, like whatever to make sure that our simulcast online, which is also taking donations through like PayPal and shit probably, like,
and our community dinner costs $5.
I am kind of curious though, like, because they're a non-profit, right? So at the end of the year, they pretty much have to have no profits. So they probably have to spend all that on things throughout the year. I wonder what kind of.
But I don't know if they have to. Do they really have to report the donations that they get though?
I mean, I'm sure they would have to. The IRS wants their cut if they find out a church ain't. Because does IRS? Or no, they're not taxed, are they? Churches?
They're not taxed, I don't think. But I don't know if they have to file anything or not.
I mean, I'm sure as a corporation like that, you'd have to have something. And we're not corporation. It's not a corporation.
Do churches file taxes?
I think they're tax-free because they're nonprofit.
Why didn't we just establish ourselves as a church instead of an LLC? No, I'm just kidding. That is kind of crazy, though, like, the amount of money that they probably pull in and how much. I mean, hopefully it all goes
to being a nonprofit, it just means they have to calculate zero, which means they can invest that back into their church. They don't have to necessarily pay that out to anyone. They can, and it can probably be
comprised of like salaries of people too.
Yeah, they
which are probably
consume
not
all
their
of those
volunteers. They
donations.
probably don't pay, a lot of their volunteers don't get paid anything. And then you have these pastors who make like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's like fucking crazy to me. So anyways, I looked this as based on the IRS regulations, churches, including integrated auxiliaries and conventions or associations of churches that meet the requirements of 501c3 status are not required to file an annual return or notice with the IRS. Therefore, these organizations are exempt from filing annual returns. So that probably means
Their
the
money,
books are cooked. Or they could be, at least.
like, yeah, nobody knows how much.
I don't know. I don't want to like throw out accusations. I don't know, obviously. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. It just, when I was going there, it felt very like their main concern was you parting with your money and giving it to them. Like, and I'm all for like giving to the church. I gave to them every week I was there. Like, you were pressured to do outside of even the coffee. And so, I don't know.
And it's not to say that it's not, in all fairness, they do provide a service and they do provide a place to communicate, like to commune and to put on their presentation and to inspire people and whatever. So it's not like you're not getting anything. So I get it. It is a donation, so I get that too. But yeah, it is kind of seeming like
A solicited donation.
Right.
Yes. Like,
but if this is like something that we're doing, like, you know, to have higher purpose and like, because we're like these good people who are shepherds of the Lord or whatever, like, aren't we supposed to be like shepherding our money towards better causes than like upgrading this building with like the latest, greatest technology and like the, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It
When that's
doesn't
put
Rub me the wrong way.
I feel like, yeah, that could be housing for people that can't afford housing.
Yeah.
Or
that could be like a development on the other side of town that's like apartment buildings for people who need it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. With how much money they were making. Like, I mean, this wasn't even like a special like celebration. It wasn't like
it was just Sunday
Easter
church.
or it was just regular Sunday church. Like the amounts of money.
I
Oh
do
my
want
God.
to give credit to organized religion, though, because it does bring, like, a communal sense of belonging. And I
Yes.
feel like all the times that I've returned to Christianity, it was never because I believed in Christianity. It was for the community of the sense of belonging.
100%.
And there are some
So.
really good people that
Yeah.
you meet, and
I know really good people who are Christians and like,
me too, for sure.
but yeah, sometimes like the organized religion aspect of it, like some of the more
Rubs us the
corporatist
wrong way.
parts of it, I think are really corruptible, which is sad, especially because I think there are a lot of people that are in churches who want to use those funds for like bettering their own communities and like whatever to a much higher degree than they're probably able to because of leadership in these mega churches. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is sad. So.
But to like go
Anyway.
back to the question, I think that we just need to keep coming forwards though and keep normalizing paganism and Wiccan and
100%,
everything that people are in fear of. Just let it be known and let it be heard that we're amongst you every day and we exist all the time and we're normal ass people just like they are. I mean, maybe we're more normal than them, maybe they're more normal than us. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like we've always been here and we'll always be here.
Right.
And we need to coexist, and
Yeah.
I don't think we should be living in
Preach.
fear about the way we want to exist.
Yeah. I think as loud as they are, we need to be just as loud. You know, we also are here. Yep, I totally agree with you. And I although I do understand the fear, I do. There's a part of me that does understand it, especially given like the history of things and whatever. But I think we need to be try to be resilient, because the more people, know that there are more of us.
Yeah. I don't
the better, I think.
I don't see the answer. There are people that believe in dark witchery or dark magic or whatever you want to call it. I don't believe in going and hexing anybody or
No.
like putting harm into other people. I don't think that's what we should use our practice or our
Intentions for.
energies for. I
At least
think
not personally either. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to each their own, and practice what you practice. But I think that there's other ways to go about it, and they already fear us for things that are illogical, you know, when we look at historically what we have actually stood for and what all of the, like, the people, most of the people that have been tried as witches weren't even pagan or witches or anything associated with us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I love that shirt that's out there that says, or it's not a shirt, I guess. Well, it's probably a shirt, but it's probably on a whole bunch of stuff. But it's the saying with, we're the granddaughters of the witches you didn't burn.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that out there because I thought it was in line.
No, that's fine.
All right, so on to the next question.
Yeah. Thank you, Vivian, for your question.
Yes. So the next question is, do you work with specific deities, and if so, what ones? I can start out by saying, no, I do not. I just kind of believe in the universal energy and just, that's all I pretty much tend to draw from / believe in.
Yeah.
Yep. Same. I am secular. I believe in, if I were to like put some, like, if someone were to say, what's your highest power? What do you believe? I would just say nature. You know, I believe that we should treat nature as abundantly as nature treats us, and we should worship nature because nature is what gives us life and makes us able to exist.
And we're all from
it. You know, and so, yeah, we're literally animals. And so...
So I too am like more of a secular witch. I have said before though that, if I'm doing like, you know, like some sort of a ritual for myself or something like that, I might invoke like the name of like a goddess or something like that, but based on like symbolically what they stand for. Not necessarily because I believe that deity exists in the world, if that makes sense. But I mean, like, I know that, you know, there are lots of different beliefs about different things, and like, you know, I think that's great if other people do work with deities or that's on their path. But yeah, not mine. I'm kind of like more with you both. I'm more like nature based. Like, I have a reverence for nature, and I think we should respect nature. But other than that, I'm more of an, I guess I'd probably consider myself like an agnostic atheist.
Yeah.
Like in that, I don't believe in the existence of any deity, but the agnostic part comes in that,
there's a potential for possible existence.
There's an unknowableness to it, you know, so I can't completely say that I know for sure, you know what I mean? So
yeah. I question if it's all a simulation, you know.
Are we in the Matrix?
We're just little ants in the ant jar that get shaken up every once in a while.
It does make you wonder about like the scale of everything, because like, so I'll always be fascinated by, there's this picture, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it's like as you zoom out of it, it's another picture of itself, then you keep zooming out and it's a picture of itself, just on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then they always talk about like a hologram, and how if you break apart a hologram, how every single little piece of the hologram will still have the entirety of the picture within it. And they talk about how there's theories that we are a hologram, and that because each and every one of us and every like plant, every being on earth starts with the flower of life. Like when we're a single cell and then we multiply into 2 and then 4 and then 8 and whatever, we literally are like the oh my gosh, I just said it.
The flower of
life. Well, I think all living things start out like that. So it makes you wonder if there's like a bigger hologram of some kind that looks similar to that we're a part of, but we just don't know it. Like,
but I am super like interested in like the like gods and goddesses as like concepts. I like to read about them. Like, just
is there anyone that you
true? I have a favorite.
Do you have a favorite?
Oh man,
I butcher names, but I feel like I've heard it be pronounced as Hecate, the triple goddess.
Yeah.
So that's probably if I had to, I wouldn't say I would worship or believe it, like, but yes, but I've also like felt drawn to like the idea of like the 3 stages in your life, and like the worshiping of like each.
You're talking about the mother, the maiden, and
the crone.
Yes.
Crone?
Maiden, then mother, then crone.
Yes.
I do agree that does have a like. But yeah,
the tripleness and like that, and I don't know. That's been one that I've always like been interested in, and liked the appeal of the symbols for and things. So
I almost got for, I think you actually, and it might still be in my Amazon cart, like a nice statue for in the middle that was that. Maybe
That's
I'll
cool.
get it even. I think for.
I guess I'd say mine. I have an appreciation for Hecate. I'm always like not sure. You hear it like pronounced like so many different ways. I'm sure. It's,
I question everything.
Yeah, that's what I get from mostly reading things. But I would say probably like Diana, maybe.
And what does she represent?
She's like goddess of the hunt and countryside, crossroads, the moon. There are some. She's sometimes considered part of the triple deity, so depending on where you're looking at it.
Nice.
So what, I don't think this really has much to do with like our beliefs, but I always was fascinated in school when we would do like Greek mythology and all the gods and goddesses and how all their different stories played out and kind of the lessons behind those. Like I was always kind of fascinated with those too, and I find that to be slightly on the edge of like kind of the religion. Like the stories probably within them probably mirror a lot of the stories that are within the Bible, I'm sure, like, you know, just with different people. But
I think Egyptian mythology is really interesting.
oh yeah,
too.
that too. Yep, agree.
Yeah. Like Osiris and Isis and
Yes.
Norse and
Yeah, I'm always drawn to Egyptian stuff too. It always seems really
Norse is always nice also. Those are like the top
Yeah.
three, I think, are Norse and Egyptian.
Norse, Egyptian, Greek / Roman.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossover there. So honestly, there's a lot more crossover than you might think. There are like some of the things about Reek and Reads that we go into, like the book that we're reading now kind of goes into like mythology on like a deeper level and kind of like compares like religions and stuff around the world. And there's like a lot of like similar kinds of gods and things like that that, you know, might
represent the same things,
potentially
but have
be
names,
like
but different.
Yeah, they've evolved over time differently in different places, but might still be referring to like possibly the same.
Yeah, that's
or
what
similar
we're doing
entities.
still doing in homeschool,
Yeah.
the creation stories from around the world, and it's just they're so similar yet very different because they're impacted by the locations and the cultures at the time, but also like still trying to answer the same question, like the how were we created
To be,
yeah
absolutely, yeah.
And
but
I'm sorry, I forgot to say who that was from. That question was from @Dante on TikTok.
Yeah, they're one of our followers.
I do want
to on occasion on the TikTok.
Oh, cool.
I do suggest that you listen to our season 2 episode 1 though, because that was when we originally talked about like what our beliefs were, and we really went
I think we
into
go into
it.
a little bit more detail on the
It's literally called "What the Heck Are We?"
Yeah. because pagan is such a broad. We really it was a whole episode just on like how we define ourselves as pagan and where we fall under that umbrella.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nice.
Next question.
So our next question, is how do you feel about solitary witches that are only solitary because they left their coven?
Ooh.
Well, first I would be compelled to figure out like what the terms you like the person left on, you know, was it they left because they felt outcasted, they left because they didn't feel they were spiritually aligned with what the coven's beliefs were. You know, there's a lot that I feel like we don't know about this question, but also that we could probably go and look at it in different angles and discuss.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like in the same position on the question. Like, there are so many factors that could have led to that outcome, right? So, like...
Yeah. If it was more personally impacted or coven impacted, I think would...
Yeah. Like, was there animosity in the crowd? Was it like I'm moving away now, so I'm just like, literally there's going to be physical distance between us, thereby it is no longer, like...
Yeah, there's so many
feasible
situations that
to practice together. Yeah.
The way that I was looking at it was like, and I do feel that at times people sometimes like, they just kind of have to find their own path, and if it's not in alignment with what like she was saying, kind of, I mean, if your belief system and the coven's, you know, main belief system and goals or whatever are not in alignment with you, sometimes it's just kind of something that, you know, people have to find their own path. So I put in my notes, it's similar to going to the gym. So like, when you go to the gym and you're all by yourself, you can kind of focus on what you know you need to focus on and go at your own pace. You can go on the machines that you need to go on and whatnot. But if you, like, go with someone else, then you're sort of, like, having to
use the machine by them.
Yeah,
go for as long as they go.
Exactly, you know. So I can understand on a spiritual level if someone is feeling that need to go on their own spiritual path to discover who they are or what they need to discover. If it's not, you know, on the same alignment with their coven, then, you know, sometimes it's nothing personal. It's just something that people need to do. It's just a matter of living life and seeking out what you need to seek out. And hopefully it was nothing. Hopefully, in the case, it wouldn't be anything on bad terms. I mean,
yeah, I think similarly. Like, I feel myself, I feel deeply impacted by other people's energies. Mm-hmm. So that's going to impede my growth if what my energy is trying to be or I'm trying to manifest doesn't match the people around me. Mm-hmm. So if, like, felt like my coven didn't match what I wanted to create in my future or present life, I would step away from that and let my energy be able to have more room to grow away from others' influence, you know? Yeah. And I feel, you know, we're a coven, but we don't really impact each other's, we don't practice too much together. And when we do, we discuss openly what we're going to practice, how we're going to practice it. And then we come the next time and then we do it.
It's always an agreed upon thing, which we're all very lucky.
So are we a coven? Yes. Do we do everything together? No.
No. We don't have, like, broad rules, like a fraternity or anything. Like, there's no, like, you have to practice this way or believe in these things. Mm-hmm. We just come to the agreements that, you know, like, when we want to do things together, we put it on the table, and if others want to do it with us, then we do it together. If not, then we go home and we do it ourselves. And, you know,
I think that we're lucky in the sense that we all kind of are creatives and we all kind of wanted to create things. So that's kind of what's come of this, is the fact that now, hey, we're all together and we're starting a business and we're creating things. Like, it's all going in the same trajectory. And so it's kind of cool, like, that we're... Yeah.
We're like, let's make things together.
Exactly. Like, that's something that our coven is doing. But, yeah, it's something that whatever your coven likes to get together and do, if you're on board with it, then that's great. But if you're not on board with it, maybe just have an open conversation with them and say, you know, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and this is where my energies want to go and be. And,
and if you need to be solitary, that's okay. But I think it's good to have the conversation, too, to see if you can open it up. Like, is it something like where they believe you have to do everything together, or you're not, like, a coven really, or
like,
or can you have this, like, the structure that we have?
Or maybe even if it is something that you haven't brought up with your coven, bring it up, and maybe there's other people that feel the same way, and there can be a change to make people feel more comfortable. So
there's all just, like, so much that can impact the dynamic there. So
that's very true. Yeah, there's just so many scenarios that could or couldn't be.
So there's your non-answer answer.
That was at Journey to Find Me
from Tiki Taki
on TikTok.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for the question.
Yes. All right. So our final question. What was our favorite? Each of us. What was our favorite episode or experience of the season?
Ooh.
I have several.
I do too.
I tried to be like, well, which one is the top one? But, like, there's too many dimensions. So my top 3 would probably be the Beltane Fire Festival. Mm-hmm. Yep. That was, like, our first in the community. Like, we're going to go out and be pagans with other pagans.
Yes, agreed. That was, like, it was so fun to mingle amongst like-minded people and to see things.
Not everyone there associates as pagan, but, well, you know, like, it was just people more that do the Wheel of the Year and, like, that celebrate the same holidays as you. Like, you know, it's like...
it was cool to be amongst other people.
There's other people out there, like...
things that we know that we're doing.
I agree. That was one of my top ones.
I agree. It's one of my top 3, I think, too.
Yeah, and then I had Salt and Soul. I want to go and do that again with the kids. I think we should probably, like,
the kids, I think, would get a kick out of it. Like, oh my God, Kelly,
maybe they'd actually calm down a little. I don't know.
We'll see,
But the float tank, too, which I need to still do my second float. But that one was super relaxing and, like... Mm-hmm. I really wanted to do that again.
That was one of my top ones too, was the float tank, and I still haven't done my second one either.
I wanted to dye my hair the other day, and I was like, oh, I better not.
I was thinking of the same thing too. So I really, Nick's sister and her girlfriend are getting married at the end of the month, and I'm like, man, I need to schedule my float soon so that way I can dye my hair, get my hair all did for that wedding. Because I wanted to not be the same. I haven't done my hair in like a year. It was since we did it for your wedding, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I think for me, so I said the Fire Festival, but then also I'd say the Gateway experience. That's like such a that's that right there, like on the polar opposite end of like the hey community. I'm also like an extreme introvert, so that's something I.
Well, and you got a lot more out of that than we did. For that experience, you drove way deeper and you stuck with it for.
I still do it on occasion.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
And then other than that, I'd probably say. So there's kind of a tie here. Like, I love when we have guests, and I liked having Rhiannon. She was like very fun. And then of course, like Steve, he's our fam. You know?
Steve and Nine,
and he's also one of my best friends. And Nine has become well incorporated, I think. And we all love him as well. So I don't know, just like having guests is so much fun to me. So I kind of put those ones on a tie somewhere in the first
that one was a really fun one to record. I like having guests.
What's so funny is I had, Bell I didn't put them in order, because I think if I were to put them in order, Float Tank would probably be number 1. Mm-hmm. I think Sound Bath for me was number 2. And then Beltane was probably number 3. Oh, man, that one was up there too. But what's funny is that I also wrote down Tarot because I love having guests, and I felt like I got a lot of education from that one that I didn't know about. Like, I didn't really know much about that before, and it kind of opened my mind a little bit. And then I also liked the yoga one because I didn't really give yoga that much time a day, and it was actually pretty nice. And
it was a good reminder that I actually have done a lot of yoga in my life.
I mean, it's a reminder for me that I should do more yoga in my life. And then I also was kind of surprised by the Gateway experience. I had like 5. I couldn't decide between those 5. Yeah. But nice. I was. I mean,
I don't want to like downgrade anything else that we did because I think I enjoyed like a vast majority of it actually.
It was a fun season.
It was.
I'm kind of sad that we're wrapping it up already. But
but we can still do stuff though.
We have ideas already for next season. And, you can always submit stuff.
I am excited for next season to create more of that stuff. Like, and to just kind of get more involved in my own practicing of things and being more intentional with my practice, with my life.
Yeah.
So we hinted at it before, but to recap, for season 4, what we plan to do is to do things to expand or grow our practice, whether that be like creating tools to use in our work or just coming together and doing performances or rituals as a coven, or just things that, we haven't really tapped into yet, or maybe we have individually just a little bit, but we're going to come together and really try and expand our practices.
Yeah. I'm excited.
And we're all, so excited.
And if you have any ideas for us that things have worked for you or whatever, we'll have like a link on our website still where you can
your favorite things that you incorporate into your craft or practice or whichever you prefer to call it.
We can have that link up on there for while we have our off time, while we're creating all of our merchandise and getting it all up on Etsy, and we're going to be going to a couple shows and stuff, so hopefully we can get our merchandise out there. We got our business cards ordered and on the way. And
I'm excited.
So this off time we can really utilize for creating all of our stuff, and then by the time we come back, you guys will be like, yay,
oh my god, look at them, they made it to season 4.
And you can check out my Witchy song, which comes out today.
That's right.
It's called Ritual, and it's under my artist name, Marilyn, Marilyn, Marin, Marinn. It's on major platforms like Apple Music and Amazon Music and Spotify and all of your sort of like normal places, YouTube Music, all that jazz. Also, are we gonna give away? We only have a couple of people that we can.
We'll have to reach out to them and see.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna draw someone, and we're gonna reach out to you, and we'll let you know. Maybe a Tiki-Taki or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yay!
We will send you notifications if you are chosen.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a while, but until next time, Coven, blessed be.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Midwest Covencast.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode.
In the meantime, you can check out Midwest Coven Cast Presents Weekend Reads.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Join and support us on Patreon. You can also find us at
MidwestCovenCast.com.
You can also join our coven by following us on social media.
At Midwest Coven Cast on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and at Midwest Coven on Twitter.
Until next time, Coven.
Blessed be.